Hi guys, it's me Chazza HD and welcome today for the race watch along for the 2018 Belgian Grand Prix and the first race in 4 weeks, the first race after the summer break. And how are we all doing, and are we looking forward to today's race? I certainly am. There are a lot of talking points that we're going to go through in the build-up and that are going to be playing out, I think, during the Belgian Grand Prix. Again, hopefully we're all doing well. And hopefully we're looking forward to this race. This is where it takes place. Spa Francorchamps, in my opinion, the best racing track in the world. And I think we are going to get a good race today. At the very least, a good race. Maybe a great one, depending on safety cars or, you know, something like that. I think we're going to get a good race today. And hopefully, on the Kemmel Straight, we get some action between Sebastian Vettel and Lewis Hamilton, the Force Indias, Kimi Raikkonen, the Red Bulls. I think we're going to get a lot of action on that Kemmel Straight as well. But if you missed qualifying, let me update you with what actually happened in qualifying. Here is your top 10. Lewis Hamilton will start on pole from Sebastian Vettel second, and the two Force Indias in third and fourth. Esteban Ocon third, Sergio Perez in fourth. I still can't believe that. Also, Grosjean in fifth. A great result there. Kimi Raikkonen in P6. Very unfortunate to start there. He probably would have been on pole if it had been in dry conditions for Q3. Max Verstappen P7. Daniel Ricciardo in P8. Not good there on the fourth row of the grid. Kevin Magnussen P9. Bottas did not set a lap time, but of course, he is starting now near the back because he has an engine penalty. And let's go on to the next 10. Pierre Gasly qualified in P11, then Hartley in 12th, Leclerc 13th, Ericsson 14th, Hulkenberg was 15th but will start near the back. Sainz is 16th but has now took a penalty. Alonso qualified 17th, Sergei Sorokin qualified 18th, Lance Stroll qualified 19th and Stoffel Van Dorn qualified last of all. Now, there has been a couple of late penalties for Carlos Sainz and Stoffel Van Dorn, meaning that Van Dorn will start last, Carlos Sainz will start 19th, and I believe Hulkenberg starts 18th with Bottas in 17th. With, I think then it will be Stroll 16th, Sorokin 15th, Alonso 14th, and then the rest of the grid. So a couple changes at the back. And, well, we'll see if it has a massive effect on today's race result. Let's see what some of you guys... What did you think of qualifying if you missed it yesterday? What did you think overall qualifying? What happened? Some of the talking points, you know, the battle for pole position. What did you think of what happened yesterday in qualifying? And what do you think it's going to have... What kind of effect do you think it's going to have on today's Grand Prix? Let me just look through the chat now. Racing Point Force India set themselves up for racing points. That's a very good one. JB, I'm just looking now. Well done, Q3. Yep, Q3 was so exciting. So exciting. Almost lost my voice at the end of yesterday's stream because it was so exciting. Quali was a mess. Q3 was... Q1 and Q2 was kind of your usual excitement, I guess you could say. But Q3 was something else. It was very exciting. It was kind of similar to Hungary in the way Lewis Hamilton got pole, but it wasn't as... Hungary wasn't as good as I thought Q3 was in Spa. So it was a very good Q3 at the Belgian Grand Prix yesterday. Kimi should still get third. I think Vettel can win. That's from Hallam, 899 Live and JB respectively. We'll get on to predictions later and you guys can make yours as well later on before the race gets underway. But before we get to those predictions, first let's go through all the teams and really recap how they got on yesterday in qualifying at Spa. So first off, Mercedes had a very good qualifying session. A qualifying session I think that went better than they thought it would. Bottas, of course, has an engine penalty, so his performance did not really matter. But Lewis Hamilton on pole, that could, depending on the race start today, and if Lewis can hold on to the lead, that could prove to be a very important pole position once we get to the final race in Abu Dhabi. And today, I think if Hamilton can hold off Vettel, he has a very, very good chance of winning today's Grand Prix, because even though it's not as hard as other circuits like Hungary to pass, it's still hard because of the dirty air that we have currently in F1. So if we can get away, say, to the end of the first lap, still in the lead, he has a very good chance of winning today's Grand Prix, I feel. But Ferrari, who I'll get onto now, again, they blew it in qualifying. They had every opportunity to get pole position. Sebastian Vettel had no battery, or did not have enough battery on his final run in Q3, which massively cost him in his fight for pole position, because he was, I think, 0.8 of a second off in his final run. Very, very costly. If he had his battery, would he have got pole position? Who knows, but I guarantee you he would have been a lot closer than he actually was. So very costly. Then again, Kimi Raikkonen running out of fuel. Again, would he have got pole position if he had completed the session? Who knows, but I guarantee you he would not be starting P6. It would be at the very least P3. He was very good in qualifying up until what happened with the fuel. So Ferrari blowing it in qualifying, and today in the race they have to make up for that. Sebastian has to win today's race. He cannot allow Lewis to win the race. So the start for him is very, very important. He has to get past Hamilton at the start, especially on the Kemmel Straight. And if he does so, then I can see him controlling today's race from the front. And for Kimi Raikkonen, he just has to make sure he doesn't get stuck behind the two Red Bulls at the start, and then picks off Grosjean, Ocon and Perez and gets his way onto the podium. That's the only thing I can really see for Kimi Raikkonen in today's Grand Prix. And for Red Bull, qualifying went basically the same way as it did for Kimi Raikkonen. Decent first run in Q3, and then they did not have enough fuel to do a run at the end of Q3 where the conditions were a lot better on track than it was at the start, meaning they finished in P7 and P8. That's not good enough. They really did blow it there, Red Bull. And in today's race, the best I see for them is P4 and P5, or P5 and P6 if Bottas comes through the field well. I don't really see anything good happening for Red Bull in today's Grand Prix. If it rains, maybe they can have a good result, but I'm not sure it is going to rain today. But yeah, not looking good for Red Bull in today's Grand Prix. But what do you guys in the chat, what do you guys think is going to happen with these three teams? Do you think Lewis Hamilton can win today? How important do you think the race start is between Hamilton and Vettel and Mercedes and Ferrari? And what do you think Red Bull can do? Do you think Red Bull can get onto the podium, surprisingly? Do you think they can do something very surprising and maybe even get up there with Hamilton and Vettel? What do you think is going to happen with Red Bull and, again, Mercedes and Ferrari? Let's look in the chat to see what some of you guys are saying. Ricciardo will retire the car on purpose. I'm calling it right now. He hasn't been at it this weekend. He's been quite far off his teammates. Something is either wrong with his attitude, not in a bad way, but he's not at it this weekend. I don't know why. Spa normally is a good track for him. He's never been as quick as Max around this track, but it's never been a terrible track for him. Of course, he won here back in 2014 and finished second in 2016. So it's not a bad track, but I don't know. Why he has not been that quick this weekend. Ultraman Nexus, I'll have to do that after this stream. I forgot to do it. Sorry, mate. Stella says, if there's rain, Max may clutch third. If it rains, then I think Red Bull could get onto the podium, but I don't think it's going to rain. I think it's definitely going to be dry today. Yesterday was a lot more topsy-turvy in terms of the weather. James Evans, is it hot? Because if it is, Mercedes will get blisters. It's not hot, but I think it's hotter than yesterday. So if it had been the weather, if the weather yesterday had been the weather for today, then maybe that would have suited Mercedes more in today's race. But well, we'll have to see. But I don't think it's particularly hot at Spa today. It hasn't really been that hot at Spa this weekend. JB says, maybe Ricciardo wants to lose loads of points for the team to help the 4th place team overtake in the standings. Red Bull are so far clear of that next team that even if he retired from every race, it's not going to happen. So there'd be no point in doing that. It would just be a waste of time. Simon Cragland, I think it's difficult to say who will win, but I think Vettel will win. I think Ricciardo's qualifying was decent yesterday. Yeah. Considering what happened, yeah, he probably did all he could, but P8 obviously is not that great. Red Bull can get a podium if Kimi retires, for example. They could, but it all depends on what Valtteri Bottas does. If Bottas flies through the field very quickly, I don't see how the Red Bulls will beat Valtteri Bottas, because Bottas in the Mercedes has so much more straight line speed from the run from the exit of La Source all the way to Lecombe. I don't see how they can hold back that Mercedes. Halam says, if Lewis Hamilton retire, what is your top 3? I'll get onto that. I'll get onto that later on. I'll remember that so I can mention that in my predictions. Just trying to read through Stella. Ocon will drop places. I don't see him getting a podium. I don't see him getting a podium, but I would not be surprised if, with the right conditions or the right circumstances, I wouldn't be surprised if Force India got on the podium, because I think there's at least a 10% chance of them getting on the podium, maybe at most 20%, because their car is very quick this weekend. It's not just luck. Niblo in before Hamilton and Vettel crash. Also, shout out to him being on my podcast a week ago, and he will be on a podcast for the Belgian Grand Prix, the post-Belgian Grand Prix podcast, coming up on Tuesday. So it'll be great to do that once we get round to it. And yeah, Spa, as I look right now, it looks pretty dry. But we'll move on to the other teams and look at how they did and how they got on in qualifying. McLaren, well, how bad were McLaren? Now, maybe they are focusing on 2019, but even if they were focusing on 2018, honestly, I don't think they would be much better. They are so poor. Even Fernando Alonso, and I said this in my qualifying review, which, by the way, you can go and check out. It's in the description below. Click on the link to watch it. I said in there that even Fernando Alonso, with all the talent that he has, could not have a good performance or have a good result because the car is that bad. When Alonso can't have a good result, you know the car is bad. So, yeah, very poor from McLaren. Stoffel Van Dorn finishing last. He will start last because he is now taking an engine penalty, I believe, or it might be an MG UK penalty. I haven't actually checked for sure, so sorry about that. But it doesn't really matter because Van Dorn has been so poor this weekend, and I think is very close to being dropped from McLaren and maybe from F1 altogether. So this might be the last time you see Stoffel Van Dorn at a race, or at least driving for McLaren. Let's go on to Renault, who, like McLaren, very poor. Very poor. Hulkenberg was always going to take a penalty. That's why he did not do a run in Q2 and ended up 15th, but will now start in 18th. But Carlos Sainz, qualifying in P16. I said it again in my qualifying review. He had to be at least in the top 10 because he had to be there to try and deny Haas picking up as many points as possible. But because he qualified in 16th and now he's took that penalty, Renault as a team are so far away from Haas that unless Haas have something similar to Australia where they both retire in 2 laps, what can Renault do? What can Renault do to stop Haas? So today could be a very bad day for Renault, a very good day for Haas, and this could be the day that decides who finishes 4th in the Constructors. You don't know. Very bad there for Renault. But it was not... Hold on. Just gotta... Hold on. Just had an issue on my end there, sorry. Let's go on to Force India, who did not have a bad qualifying, of course. 3rd and 4th place with Esteban Ocon and Sergio Perez. I still can't believe they actually finished in 3rd and 4th, because in the last few races, they haven't really been even in the top 10 in qualifying that much. And to be 3rd and 4th at Spa with the new, Racing Point Force India instead of Sahara Force India, what a story. And hopefully in today's race, they continue that and can get some kind of, I don't know, 5th or 6th place finish. I think that could happen. The Force India, of course, very quick in a straight line, so should be able in a straight line to defend quite a bit and maybe overtake a Red Bull if a Red Bull gets ahead of them at some point in the race. You don't know, but I'm hoping for Force India they can cap off this weekend with a fairy tale result, kind of like Grosjean did for Lotus in 2015. A very fairy tale result back then, and I hope that maybe Ocon can do that today, or Perez can do that today, because again, it would round off such a good weekend. But guys in the chat, what do you think of McLaren, Renault and Force India? Do you think McLaren can score points today? I don't think they can, but do you? What do you think Renault can do in what's going to be a damage limitation drive from 18th and 19th on the grid? That's how poor it's looking for Renault. And do you think Force India can score a podium? Let's see what some of you guys think. Let's just look now. Force India's strategic masterclass or masterstroke. Yeah, it was. They really conducted themselves well in qualifying, in the way they, managed that session. Simon Craglan, they can defend from Red Bull. Yep, I think they can. JB says, I hope Esteban gets a podium. I love this guy. I can't stand Checo, though, after what he did to Ocon last year. I lost a lot of respect for what Perez did last year, so hopefully he doesn't try anything similar. And he can't do anything similar today, because it would be such a disaster for the team, considering after the qualifying they've had. It'd be such a disaster. 2009 Spa. Yep, that was when Force India got pole position and finished in 2nd. F1 boss Kimmy825 says, are you going to be showing live coverage, Chaz? No. That's pretty obvious. If I did, then the channel would be shut down in about 5 minutes. So, no, I'm not going to be doing that. Force India, strategic masterclass. Renault, super duper poor. McLaren, we can fight. Simon Craglan, McLaren will not score points, only if it's raining. If it's raining, I think Alonso could nick a point. But it's not a guarantee, again, because the McLaren car is so poor. It is so poor. Simon Craglan, did you hear Vettel and Ocon's conversation? I did. I saw the quote, and I actually heard the conversation, and it just proves how sad, a sad state that Ocon and F1 is in. Because Esteban Ocon should be on the grid. Money should not be a concern, because he is, compared to Lance Stroll, he is way better than Lance Stroll. There is no... Let me just clear my throat again. He is way better than Lance Stroll. There is no debate about that. And Stroll is going to take his seat basically because Stroll has money and because his dad is now the person running Force India. Ocon should not be furiously searching for a seat. Esteban Ocon is one of the superstars of the future. And it's a very worrying situation that Esteban Ocon actually has to think about, maybe I'm going to lose my seat for 2019. That is ridiculous. He's qualified 3rd in a Force India at Spa. He's qualified in the top 10 so many times since the start of 2017 when he joined Force India. He's had 2 or 3 chances to score a podium. One of them he was at fault for in terms of not getting it. A couple other times he was basically just unlucky. And I don't get how he cannot be in F1. It's a very similar situation to Pascal Wehrlein. The only reason Wehrlein was, or a couple of reasons Wehrlein was kicked out of Sauber and F1 is because Ericsson has money and brings that to Sauber. He doesn't have as much money as Stroll, but money was a factor. And because Sauber is now a Ferrari B team as such, so they were not going to allow a Mercedes driver to be in that car. And in a very similar way, it's a very sad state of affairs. And I hope F1 can find some kind of solution to this, because you should not be allowed to just, pay your way into every seat possible. That's not how it should work. Not how it should work at all. Gamer Ben Toto Wolf said that Ocon will be staying at F1. I think he will stay in F1, but it's just the fact that he actually has to think about a possibility where he's not. That is a disgrace. That is an absolute disgrace. JB says talent can't get you into F1 anymore, only money can. I disagree. Talent can get you into F1. Just look at Max Verstappen, for example. You just need to have so much talent and be so good and be in the right car at the right time to stay in F1. But if you have loads of talent, but you're not in the right car at the right time, like Verline, then you're going to be kicked out when you don't deserve it. So, very, very sad. And I hope Ocon will be on the grid next year. And I think he will probably with McLaren, it looks like. So we'll see what happens there. But we'll move on now and complete the rest of the grid. Williams, poor yesterday at a track where they should be good. No real surprise. They've been poor ever since Baku. And in today's race, they are, as I said in my qualifying review, they're just going to be dwelling in the basement all race long. Toro Rosso had a very good qualifying, actually. I was very surprised with what they did. To be P11 and P12 at a power circuit, and I know Hulkenberg didn't do a lap and Sainz had a very poor lap, so maybe they would have been 13th and 14th had Renault got their act together and actually done a lap with Nico Hulkenberg. But again, P11 and P12 at a power circuit, that's very positive, not only for Toro Rosso and Honda, but for Red Bull, because that shows evidence that Honda are making some good gains, and I think they are. So good to see that from Toro Rosso, and I wouldn't be surprised if they nicked a point. I think with the right circumstances and maybe some rain, they could nick a point or two, kind of like they did at Hockenheim with Brendan Hartley. Haas, they have a big day today, Haas. This race, they have to score a lot of points today because, Renault, as I've said, they are starting 18th and 19th. Haas are starting 5th and 9th. They have to score points with both cars. If they finished 5th and 9th, that would be great because they would gain 12 points on Renault. If Renault were not to score points, that would be very big in that battle. But as long as both cars score points, say 7th and 8th or 7th and 9th or maybe 6th and 8th, they have to score points with both cars. End of story. And they must make sure they do not end up somehow behind Renault in the Grand Prix, because I'm sure Renault will try something funky on strategy to get ahead of Haas or get ahead of Force India if they are that close. So Haas just need to focus on getting points and finishing ahead of Renault, and also doing the same at the Italian Grand Prix. Very important day ahead for Haas. And finally for Sauber, not that great at qualifying. P13 and P14, Leclerc had some kind of issue with his brakes. Ericsson had an issue with his power unit. So their qualifying was hampered, but I still think with Leclerc he could have been a bit better, because Spa is not a big circuit for brakes. It's very high speed. It's not as bad as Canada, where if he had that issue at Canada, the car would have been, quite frankly, undrivable. So I think they could have done better, but going into today's Grand Prix, with the great straight line speed and power unit they have, they should be challenging for points. There's no excuse. They should be up there racing with Toro Rosso, maybe Haas as well. They are that quick, and I hope they can at least compete for that, because yesterday was very disappointing in my opinion. But guys, what do you think is going to happen with those four teams? Do you think Williams can do anything in today's Grand Prix? Do you think Toro Rosso could sneak a surprise point with the Honda power unit? How big of a day do you think it is for Haas, and do you think Haas will get a good result and finish ahead of the two Renaults? And do you think a Sauber can score points? What do you think about that? Let me look at the chat now and see what some of you guys are saying. JB Ericsson has money on his side. With that conversation earlier, yep, that is true. JB also says, I was disappointed in Sauber. I was as well, and I think we all were. They just did not, produce a good lap when we really expected them to. Andrew Drury, I think Ericsson is under pressure. I don't think he really should be. He's scored points on 3 occasions this season. That's very good for a driver who, coming into the season, we all thought he was the worst on the grid. Now, I don't think he's the worst on the grid now. I'd say he is maybe the 17th or 18th best driver on the grid. So I don't understand why he's under pressure. I don't get it, honestly. JB says Leclerc can get points. Ericsson maybe. Simon Craglan says, I think Haas will probably finish 9th and 10th on paper. That's interesting. I'm kind of thinking they need to get like a 7th and an 8th with, where they're starting. Gina says Vettel crashing out. Andrew Drury, Sauber don't really need the money anymore. True, but who do they have to replace him who's better? They don't really have anyone who's better. Soccer Legend, is the undercut effective at this track? I will get onto tyres soon, so stick around. I am going to get onto the tyre situation and show you guys how many new sets and used set of tyres that everyone has. I'll get onto that in, I don't know, 5 or 10 minutes time. Just looking through the chat more. Ferrari want Giovinazzi in. They do, but if Leclerc does not go to Haas, I think it will be Leclerc and Ericsson. That's what I think it will be. Legendary Snipers, handling and aerodynamics was so poor in 2014 on this track. Yes, it was. Right, I'm going to now move on, guys. Ocon at Sauber, that's from Jacob Smith. I don't see that because, again, he's a Mercedes driver. As Simon Craglan says, it will be difficult for Haas to overtake Force India, and Red Bull are faster. True. We need to see, though, if Red Bull can stay reliable. Because, as we know, they have not been very reliable in the last few races. But now, I am going to get on to the ones to watch in this Grand Prix. First off, Esteban Ocon. Now, he should be passed and overtaken by Kimi Raikkonen, Max Verstappen and Daniel Ricciardo, but with the straight line speed the Force India has and the much improved aero the Force India has this weekend, you should watch out for him, because I think he is going to fight a lot harder for that podium, and I think does have an outside chance of getting a podium, because again the Force India is very quick this weekend. P3 in qualifying. What a performance. Sorry. What a performance. My throat is very sore, by the way. Such a great performance in qualifying, and I hope he can finish, say, P5 or P6 in today's Grand Prix. I think that would be a very good result. So hopefully he can do that. And also another one to watch is Sergio Perez starting alongside in P4. Can he get a podium? He is very good at getting one. He has got almost 10 podiums in his F1 career. So it's a possibility. I think Perez is more capable of doing so, because when you present him an opportunity to get one, most of the time he tends to get it, because that's just the kind of driver he is. So Force India, you do have to watch out for. They are going to be very quick down the straights. I think we'll be able to defend not easily from the Red Bulls or the Ferrari, because I think they'll have such great speed going up Eau Rouge and Raidillon. But, they should be at least competing with them. The Red Bulls and Ferrari aren't just going to blast past like they're not even there, like if it was Renault starting in P3 and P4. But again, I'll put the question to you guys. Do you think Force India can get a podium? Do you think it is possible? And where do you think Ocon and Perez will end up in the Grand Prix? Let me look in the chat now. Look out for Gasly. That's from JB. Yeah, I guess so. We need to see what he does at the start, though. He also says, I think Ocon will get the podium over Checo, as Ocon has been ahead of Checo in most qualifying race sessions. In terms of speed, I agree. But Perez, again, he can be behind his teammate all weekend and still end up on the podium. He has done that before. I think he did that at the Italian Grand Prix in 2012 when Kobayashi was his teammate with Sauber. I think Kobayashi was P11 or P12 and Perez was like 15th, and Perez finished in 2nd. So Perez doesn't necessarily need to be quick all weekend. It's a case again of if there's an opportunity, then he will go and take it. Jacob Smith, Red Bulls to retire on lap 1. That would be absolutely bonkers if that did happen. Ocon and Perez will probably pass Hamilton and Vettel and take a 1-2. That's some legendary snipers. That would be crazy. That would be absolutely crazy. And I think Force India would have a good chance of being in the lead going into the first or only round of pit stops. That would be, again, that would be absolutely crazy if that was to happen. Game of Ben, you were right for one to watch yesterday in quali. I was actually. That's a good point. I didn't think they'd be 3rd and 4th. I thought, you know, 4th row of the grid and maybe close to the Red Bulls. I did not think 3rd and 4th. Soccer Legend says 4th and 6th. That would be a very good result. And, 20 points for Force India if they got that. And they might be able to go level on points, I think, with Sauber if they did that. And Sauber did not score any points. Baz13 says, will we be able to watch with you? Basically, what I'm going to be doing is watching my screen, watching the race, and then you guys, if you have a stream or whatever, a TV, then you guys watch it. I will be updating constantly, talking you through the race and what's going on. So if you can't watch it, don't worry. I'll just talk you through the race so you know what is going on. James Evans, Seb, Hamilton, Raikkonen, Verstappen, Ocon, Perez, Ricciardo. Looks very possible. Very possible indeed. Game of Ben, do you think that Seb will pass Lewis on lap 1? I think everyone in Ferrari and Mercedes is expecting that to happen. So, will it happen? Probably. It just depends on the exit and the start. It depends on the start that Sebastian gets from the line and then the exit he gets off of La Source. If we can do a switchback on Lewis into turn 1, then he should fly past on the Kemmel Straight. JB says, I don't think Bottas will recover as he is awful at overtaking like he showed at Paul Ricard. You got to remember though, in Paul Ricard, he had quite a lot of damage to his floor. But I will agree with you when it comes to Australia, he was not good at overtaking there with a car that was miles faster than the Force Indias and the McLarens. I don't know why he wasn't quicker there when it came to getting past other cars. But we'll move on from the ones to watch and go on to this. Now this, guys, is the tyres that F1 has used and also new tyres coming into this Grand Prix. I'll scroll down for the other drivers, don't worry, I'll do that in just a moment. But you can see there, Hamilton, Bottas, Vettel, Raikkonen and Ricciardo have 1 new set of Super Softs and Max Verstappen has 2. So, if there's a safety car, I think Max Verstappen is right in play with another set of new Super Soft tyres. Perez and Ocon have a 1 new set, Stroll and Sirot can have 2 new sets. That has 3? That's Carlos Sainz, who has 3 new sets. So Carlos can be very aggressive if he wants to on strategy. I'll try and scroll down now. Hopefully this works. Yes, it is. So you can see Hulkenberg has 2. Gasly and Hartley have 1. That's a very important point right at the bottom there. Grosjean and Magnussen have no new sets of super soft tyres. They only have a new set of mediums and softs. Now, we're not expecting there to be more than 1 stop, but if a safety car comes out, Grosjean and Magnussen are in deep trouble because Force India, Renault, Toro Rosso will be able to put on a new set of super softs if they don't start on them at the race and pass them. So we'll have to see, of course, what happens at the start with who's starting on what tyres. But if Gasly and Hartley start on softs because they have a new set, and, you know, Perez and Ocon start on, I think they're starting on super softs, but a used set, then Haas are going to be in deep, deep trouble. Let me scroll down some more. So you see that Alonso and Van Dorn have one new set, but they have 3 new sets of the softs. Ericsson and Leclerc then at the bottom, you can see Ericsson has 2 new sets and then Leclerc has 1. Now when it comes to what we're expecting on strategy today, it's going to be a one-stop race. Unless there's a safety car, as I said, it's going to be a one-stop race. If we get a safety car, say lap 20 to lap 30, then it'll be a 2-stop because people will pit to put on a new set of super softs if they have not used them already. So that is what is going to happen on strategy. It's sad to say, I'd love to say it's going to be a 2-stop or a 3-stop, but that's not the way, unfortunately, F1 is right now. What do you guys think is going to happen on strategy? What would you recommend? Also for some of the teams, what would you do if you're in you know, some of the shoes of, you know, a Ferrari strategist or a Mercedes strategist or a Red Bull or etc. What would you guys do on strategy today? Would you go aggressive for a 2-stop, or would you just go for the usual boring 1-stop? Gamer Ben says 1-stop. Soccer Legend, do you think the medium will be used? I think a couple people will use that tyre, but I don't think it will be mostly used because I don't think the temperature is great for it, and I don't think it necessarily you know, needs to be used, because it's not like the teams are running out of tyres, because of course in Q3 yesterday it was wet and they only used the intermediate tyres, meaning they all saved at least 1 set of dry tyres. So I don't think they'll be forced to go to mediums. Gamer Ben says soft to super. That's what Bottas will be doing today. Bottas, I'm sure, is starting on soft tyres because he did his fastest Q2 run on soft tyres. So he will be going soft to super soft. He'll probably go till about lap 25 to lap 30 and then go to the end on super softs, and then he should be able to attack from there. Legendary Sniper says he would go aggressive. James Evans says undercut Seb. If they don't get Lewis on the first lap, that has to be looked at as a possibility. They absolutely have to look at that. Just looking. JB says Haas will have to use the mediums as they have no super softs. They're going to start on super softs and then I think they're going to go to softs. But it depends on how their tyres wear. If their super soft tyres wear a lot, then they will have to put the mediums on because they won't be able to go massively long on soft tyres. So it's going to be very interesting and I think quite difficult from Haas's point of view. They're kind of in a rock and a hard place with no new set of super softs, and they'll be praying there is no safety car, because if there is, then the best they can hope for is a 9th and a 10th, I think. If Seb is behind Ham, yep, I agree with that. Right, let's move on from the tyre situation, and now let's go on to the best places at this circuit for overtaking. First off, you have the start going into La Source. We've had many classic moments over the years going into this turn, many accidents. Of course, it's been changed massively through the years. In the 90s, it was a lot tighter and a lot harder not to have a crash. This time, it's a lot wider, but it still is accident prone. Of course, in 2016, we had 2nd, 3rd and 4th all crash into each other. That was Max Verstappen, Kimi Raikkonen and Sebastian Vettel. You can't really make up tons of positions into La Source because it's quite a short run to the first corner. It's one of the shortest, I think, to turn 1. So you can't really make any massive gains going into turn 1. You kind of have to wait until you get to the Kemmel Straight if you're going to make a move. But into La Source, you can also make a move. during the race, not only on lap 1. And as I said, the Kemmel Straight, that is the main place for overtaking. If you can get a good run over Radion, you should be able, if you have enough straight line speed and the car ahead is poor in a straight line, you should be able to pass in a straight line. Expect a lot of DRS overtakes today. I think Sebastian Vettel and Lewis Hamilton are probably going to be side by side like these two drivers were last year. That's Jolyon Palmer and I think that's Danny Kvyat, but it might be Carlos Sainz. I don't know for sure. But this is the main place for overtaking. So if you're looking for where the overtakes are going to take place, it will be the Kemmel Straight going up to Lecombe, where the overtake most of the time, depending on how equal the straight line speed is, will end. And it is a very difficult corner to pass people in, because if you're on the inside, then you're very prone to hitting the other guy because he's coming around the outside with so much speed and you're trying basically not to hit him. So it's very difficult to pass and also defend. And as you can see there, that's Lance Stroll last year going off the track. It's also very difficult to slow down if you've got so much speed on the other guy. It is a very difficult corner sometimes to slow down for. But that is normally where the move will end and you'll get your move completed. But sometimes, as we've seen back with Nico Rosberg and Lewis Hamilton, accidents can also happen there too. And then, after the very long mid-sector, the last overtaking opportunity, or the last realistic overtaking opportunity in my opinion, is the bus stop chicane. Here you can see Kevin Magnussen almost piling into the back of other cars. That was a very close moment last year. If you get a good run from Stabilo 1 and 2 and then through Blanchimont, you should be able to go down the inside if you have enough speed. But if not, position yourself on the outside and try and do some kind of switchback. And then you can try and set up for a move on the pit straight going down to the Source and then the Kemmel Straight and vice versa. But where do you guys think the most overtakes will happen today? Do you think we'll see a lot of action on the Kemmel Straight or the bus stop chicane or the Source at the start? What do you think is going to happen at the start? Do you think anything crazy is going to happen? Do you have a crazy prediction as to what is going to happen at the start? Let me know in the chat right now. JB, what will we hear at the end of the race? These fans are the best. Oh, grazie ragazzi. I'll get onto that in a moment. JB, I almost feel like there will be a copy of the 2012 crash or something almost as bad. Let's not wish it, because that crash was absolutely horrific. That was very, very close to being a horrible accident. Also, goodbye to you. Hopefully you'll join me for the race reaction about 45 minutes after the race ends here at Spa. Soccer legend, Vettel and Hamilton crash at the start. That would be very controversial. Who knows? It depends on the start that both of them get. If Vettel can get alongside going down to the Source and they're just alongside, then it's possible, but you never know, of course, in Formula 1. James Eric, top runners out, Force India wins. That would be a great story. That would be one of the best days in Formula 1 in recent times, I'd have to say. Gamer Ben, if Sev passes Lewis early, then Mercedes will need to go very aggressive on strat. They will. They will. I wouldn't be surprised if they pitted earlier than you're really supposed to in terms of the pit window to try and get past Sebastian Vettel. Of course, we know as well that Ferrari aren't that good on strategy. So even though Sebastian has a great chance of getting into the lead, that does not mean he's going to hold on to it, because he needs to get a gap and then hope that Mercedes can not overcut or undercut him in the Grand Prix. But now, guys, I'm going to get on to my much anticipated predictions for today's 2018 Belgian Grand Prix. The winner of today's race, in my opinion, will be Sebastian Vettel. I think going up Eau Rouge, Radion, and then onto the Kemmel Straight, I think Vettel will pass him with all of the ERS battery he has. If you remember back to 2013, Vettel passed Hamilton with, at the time, was Kurz, and ERS is basically the same thing but a lot more powerful. I think Vettel is going to do something very, very similar in today's Grand Prix. I think he'll get past Hamilton on the Kemmel Straight, and then I think from then on in, he will control the race and win by, say, 4 to 5 seconds, something like that. And then in second place, in my opinion, will be Lewis Hamilton. I think he just won't have enough pace in the car. I think he himself has enough pace to beat Vettel, but I don't think the car is quick enough to do so. I just think the Ferrari in dry conditions has just about enough to beat Mercedes and Lewis Hamilton to the win today. But then, who is going to finish in P3? For me, it will be Kimi Raikkonen. I think Raikkonen, I don't think he'll gain any positions off the start, but I don't think he'll lose any. I think he'll remain P6, and then he will get past the 2 Force Indias and the Haas. He won't fly past them, but he will get past them during the first stint, and then he'll have enough pace to finish in P3, and he'll end up quite a bit behind, I think, Vettel and Hamilton. But what do you guys think is going to happen in today's race? Who are you predicting for the race win? Who do you think will finish in second? Who do you think will finish in third? And for the other positions, what do you think will happen with those? Let's see what some of you guys think. So give me now your predictions for today's Belgian Grand Prix. Soccer Legend says Raikkonen hasn't gained any positions on the first lap since Abu Dhabi 2016. Yep, he needs to improve that. Niblo says Kimi needs to get up to 7 Lewis quickly so they can double Team Merc on strategy. If he can get past the Force Indias on the Haas in the first lap, then I think Kimi has a very good chance of a result that's better than third, but I don't think he will do that. I think he'll slowly but surely get past those cars. James Evans says Seb, Ham and Raikkonen. Niblo says Seb, Ham and Kimi, so both agreeing with me there. I think it's a very likely top 3. I think the only positions really up for debate is Hamilton and Vettel. Who's going to win the race? I think third is almost guaranteed to be Kimi Raikkonen because he has been very fast this weekend, and the Ferrari is very fast also. So it's down to really who is going to win the race, Hamilton or Sebastian Vettel. By the way, we are 12 minutes from the race starting. Cannot wait to get this race underway. Can't wait to get some racing underway as well after a 4-week summer break. Keep putting in your predictions, guys, for today's Belgian Grand Prix. Kimi will drive in anger. He needs to. He does need to. If any of you remember back to 2004, Raikkonen started P11 after a wet qualifying, and he won the race because he was very aggressive, and I think he went past, let me clear my throat, he went past Michael Schumacher very aggressively, his teammate Coulthard, I think Montoya as well, or one of the Williamses. He aggressively got himself in there and won the race. And if he can replicate that aggression, who knows? Who knows? As Kimi now is just getting into his car. He is now ready to get this race going. Legendary Snipers says if both Ferraris crash on the last couple of laps and Lewis will get first, Ocon will get second and Bottas will get third. That's basically an all Mercedes top 3. That's like a Mercedes 1, 2, 3, basically, because Ocon has such great ties to the Force India team. As Kimi Raikkonen is now strapped in and ready for the formation lap. Keep putting in your predictions, guys, for today's Belgian Grand Prix. What do you think is going to happen? As I'm just looking at the weather. The weather looks dry, and it looks like it's going to be dry, but there are darker clouds, I would say, around at the circuit at the moment. We are now 10 minutes now from the start of the Belgian Grand Prix. What are your guys' thoughts going now into the last 10 minutes before we get this race underway? Soccer Legend says, where do you think Bottas will finish? I think 5th. I think 5th as well. I think after the first stint, he'll get himself up to P6 or something. and then he'll pass one of the Red Bulls and finish in P5. I think it's pretty simple what his race is going to be like. He just needs to make sure he doesn't go, slithering up the inside of someone and then gets his wheel took off, because that is not what needs to happen. As Red Bull also getting ready with both of their drivers. Keep putting in the chat, guys, what you think is going to happen in today's race, with 9 minutes left before the start of the Belgian Grand Prix. Also, before we get the race underway, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Either on the bottom right of the screen, you can click subscribe there, click on my channel name, or click on the channel link down below. Also in the description is a link to my last video, which was the qualifying review. So if you want to quickly catch up with that, then go and do that right now. And also a link to my Discord server with just over 50 people actually in that Discord server right now. So go there if you want to join that wonderful community over there. As well, my Twitter is also in the description, and if you want to follow me on Twitter, please do, because a lot of updates as to when I'm uploading and stuff like that happens on my Twitter. Legendary Sniper says, if Force India can undercut the Ferraris, they have a better chance of getting the podium. I don't think Force India will be in that kind of position. I think Ferrari will pull away very fast. I don't think Force India can go anywhere or can get anywhere near the Ferraris. I think once Ferrari get both cars past them, I think they'll pull away a second lap. Ultraman Nexus, yep, sorry, I forgot to do it. I'll do it after this, or after today's streams. I'll get that done. James Eric, I think Leclerc will get in the points. I think if he gets points, it will only be P10 though, because I think all the other cars ahead are too fast. I think the Haas's have enough pace to beat Leclerc. Force India have enough pace. If he's going to get any higher than P10, I think he needs a Red Bull or both to retire from the race. As everyone now getting ready on the grid for the Belgian Grand Prix. Keep putting in the chat what you think is going to happen with 7 minutes to go. You can see Kimi Räikkönen, that was yesterday. I really cannot wait for today's Grand Prix. I think the start is so important to what happens in this race. If Vettel loses places at the start or has a crash at the start, that could be very, very important in this championship battle. It could be so, so important. Lots of interesting fans, let's say, at Spa Francorchamps. As well, in case you're new to this watch-along format that I do, basically what I do is I post pictures I take pictures from Twitter, I post it up on the screen, and will basically give you visual updates as to what is actually going on the track. I've tried to find timing screens, guys, but I've been unsuccessful because I just cannot find one that will work. So I'm currently in the process of trying to design one myself, basically. So I'm going to design one myself and then use it, and then, we can use that for these watch-alongs, so you guys get a great idea of what is actually going on the track. Legendary Sniper says Gasly might get in the top 10. You never know what he might do. He's very... can I just say this about Pierre Gasly, is that he is very good around a pit stop in terms of, when you have to push before you have to pit to get ahead or stay ahead of someone if they pitted before. He's very good at doing that, and also, coming out of the pits the first couple of laps, he's very good around a pit stop window. So if he can get a decent start and then do what he usually does around the pit stop window, then I think Gasly, yeah, I think he could. There's no reason why he can't. 5 minutes now to go until the Belgian Grand Prix. I'll now put a picture here of the Red Bull. That was yesterday in qualifying. You can clearly see there how wet it was on the Kemmel Straight. The F1 intro now playing. We are moments away from the first race back from the summer break. I cannot wait. Cannot wait to get this going now. This should be at least a good race. If it's not a good race, I will be shocked. We said that for Canada, of course, and it turned out to be so bad. But I really think this race, because of where certain cars are, and with this kind of track, I just don't see how we won't get a good race. If he gets out of the pits and doesn't spin, that's from James Eric. That was so funny. That was so funny that he did that. I've never seen anyone do that before. I've seen people crash on a pit exit or pit entry, but, you know, like hitting a wall because they carry too much speed in. But I've never seen someone just spin out of the pit lane like that. Never seen it. 7 kilometers long, this track. Chazza, will you get F1 mobile racing when it comes out? If I'm being honest, mate, I've never heard of that. You'll have to point me to what it actually is, because I've never heard of that before. 102.2 meters of elevation. They're just showing replays of the start in 1998. Still the most chaotic start of all time. You'll never get a more chaotic start than that. We are now 4 minutes away from the start of the Belgian Grand Prix. Again, keep putting in the chat, what do you think is going to happen? 3 minutes left. What are your final predictions for the Belgian Grand Prix? Who will it be? Vettel or Hamilton? Who are you going for? Who are you going to stick with? Let's see what you guys say. 3 minutes until race starts. So the starting grid, guys, as I'm just looking at the screen, is Hamilton from Vettel. That's the front row. Then Ocon and Perez. And then it's Grosjean and Raikkonen. Of course, both ex-Lotus drivers. Going to be an interesting third row there. Then the 2 Red Bull drivers, P7 and P8. And then it's Kevin Magnussen and Pierre Gasly on the 5th row. So Gasly does start in 10th because Bottas is starting at the back. Then it's Hartley P11, Leclerc in 12th. Ericsson 13th, Alonso starts 14th, but of course penalties have helped that. The Williamses are 15th and 16th are on the same row. And then 17th is Bottas, 18th is Hulkenberg, and then 19th is Carlos Sainz with Stoffel Van Dorn last. Bottas, Hulkenberg, Sainz and Van Dorn are 17th, 18th and 19th and 20th because of penalties. Bottas looking ice cool on the grid. Gamer Ben says Lewis Hamilton to win. James Eric says Sebastian Vettel. It's good to see that difference of opinion. It's good to have, you know, a race where we don't know what's going to happen because, you know, 2 or 3 years ago we all knew what was going to happen. It was going to be a Mercedes 1-2 with most likely Lewis Hamilton winning the race. No disrespect to Nico Rosberg, but that's the way it was. So it's great to see that we have a nice competitive, for this race at least, a nice competitive jumbled up field. Legendary Sniper says, I hope Force India don't screw up this chance of getting a podium. Let's see what they do off the start. Max Verstappen, and now they are all about to set off for the formation lap. We are about 2 minutes away, I would say, from the start of the Belgian Grand Prix. If you've got any last minute predictions, then put it in the chat below. I will try and post a picture on the screen as soon as possible, guys, for this race. As now all the tyre blankets come away. So you've got the top 10 all on super softs, and then Hartley, Leclerc, Ericsson, Alonso, Sirotkin, Stroll, Bottas, Hulkenberg and Van Dorn all on soft tyres, and then Sainz is on the mediums. So Sainz is going to play a very long game today. It's predicted either a one stop for both if you're starting on super softs or softs. Falling out EMS says Red Bull 1-2. That would be amazing. I think rain needs to come for that to happen. Formation lap is now underway. We are about 2 minutes away from race start once they all get round the lap. As they all now warm up their tyres going up to Eau Rouge. If you've got anything to say before the race starts, then say it now, because it's going to get pretty crazy once this race starts. I'll post a picture now just to show you the mad support for Max Verstappen. Of course, this is his closest. This is the closest to his home of Holland. So the atmosphere is great. It's basically a home race for Max Verstappen. There you can see. I believe those are Verstappen fans. It looks as though to me that they are Verstappen fans. Not sure if Rossi or Max fans. Hamilton and Vettel going through Pouhon. So they're about halfway through the lap. So we are about, I would say, a minute to a minute and a half away from the race starting. The battle is on. Yes, indeed it is. Falling out EMS. If he wins there will be a riot. You are right. The Verstappen fans at the exit of Pouhon look very, very excited and ready for this race. Hopefully Verstappen gives them something to shout about, just like they did, or just like he did back in Austria. Would be great for that, but I don't think it's going to happen. I'll post another picture of the formation lap, as they are now coming through Blanchimont for the formation lap. Are you guys ready for the start of this race? I'm very kind of nervous for the start of this race because I feel as though something's going to happen at the start here. So there you go. People on the formation lap. Why Hamilton goes so slow? He's trying to... He doesn't want to sit on the grid too long and let the engine and the brakes overheat. He doesn't want to damage his car because other people are taking so long to get round the track. It's something that I would do if I was in that position. It's just common sense, really. As now Hamilton and Vettel and I'd say half of the grid are now on the pit straight and lining up for the Belgian Grand Prix. Everyone looks very tense. Can Force India get a good start and affect Sebastian Vettel's charge towards Lewis Hamilton? Will anyone get a bad start? Who knows? Everyone looks very, very nervous, I would say. As Stoffel Van Dorn is the last car now to come round. Very slow on that formation lap, Van Dorn. Don't know why. Taking quite a lot of time to get round. And here we go. The Belgian Grand Prix. 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 lights. And it's lights out and away we go. And who has got a good start? Hamilton's going to cover off Vettel, but Vettel is going to do the switch back. Hamilton and Vettel getting very close. Oh, someone said there was going to be a Grosjean-like crash. That was absolutely huge. That has to be a safety car. That was one of the biggest crashes I've ever seen at Spa. As they go through Eau Rouge and Radion. And who is leading? You've got Hamilton and Vettel is going to pass Hamilton. He does. Vettel leads the Belgian Grand Prix. The Force India going down the inside. So Vettel leads from Lewis Hamilton in second. And we have a safety car for an absolutely huge crash at turn 1. It was one of the McLarens going over a car. I don't know who it was. But oh my God, it was Fernando Alonso. That was absolutely massive. A Renault, I think of, it's Nico Hülkenberg. What a crash that was. That was absolutely massive. I'll read you the top 10 in a moment, but what a crash that was. And Kimi Raikkonen has a right rear puncture and is at the back of the field, and he has so far to go to get round this track, he might damage his car quite a bit. Let's now see the race start. Daniel Ricciardo getting a really poor start. And then what happens? I think it's Hülkenberg who's caused it there. It's Hülkenberg who's caused the crash. Hülkenberg locks up. He's surprised, goes into Alonso, goes over the rear wing of... Who is that? It's a Sauber of Charles Leclerc. So Leclerc's out of the race. His rear wing is completely missing. So Hulkenberg caused that. Just went straight into the back of Fernando Alonso and then caused chaos. So here's Hulkenberg's on board. Yeah, he was just surprised by how slow people are going. He went way too fast into the corner and sent Fernando Alonso right over the top of Leclerc. Wow. What a... who was it who said there's going to be a Grosjean like... It was JB. Once he comes back for the race reaction, I have to inform him of that he was correct about a Grosjean-like crash. Just looking at more replays off the start. It was Hulkenberg. He just carried so much speed into turn one. He hit Alonso so hard at the rear that it... how did Raikkonen... Oh, so Raikkonen was hit by someone who I guess was avoiding... As Daniel Ricciardo's in the pits... I think Daniel Ricciardo... Yeah, Daniel Ricciardo is out. Daniel Ricciardo is out of the race. His rear wing is completely broken. There's no way he is going to get back out on the track. So Leclerc, Alonso, Hulkenberg, and now Daniel Ricciardo are out of the Belgian Grand Prix. The top 10 is Vettel leading from Lewis Hamilton, then Perez third, Ocon fourth, Verstappen is fifth, Grosjean sixth, Magnussen seventh, Gasly eighth, Ericsson ninth, Sorokin is 10th, Lance Stroll is 11th, then Hartley 12th, Sainz 13th as Raikkonen is back in the pits, Bottas 14th, Van Dorn 15th, Raikkonen is 16th now as Daniel Ricciardo is out of the Belgian Grand Prix. Ricciardo, Hulkenberg, Alonso and Charles Leclerc all out of the Belgian Grand Prix. That's all Hulkenberg's fault, not even a doubt about it, and I think he should get a penalty for the next race. That was... He just got way too deep on the brakes. Way too deep. I'll show you a picture of the start. Not the start line crash, though we don't have a picture, sadly, of that at the moment. But I will... I tell you, Force India, if they were closer to Hamilton and Vettel on the run up the hill, I think Force India could have took the lead with Ocon. He almost got down the inside of Vettel, but there was no room to go down the inside. If he went down the inside, he would have took everyone out. So here is a quick image of the start. This is before the absolutely massive accident. Now I have a picture of that start. They're trying to fix Ricciardo's rear wing, but there's no point. He's going to be 3 or 4 laps down. There's no real point in putting him back out on the track and wasting engine mileage. Right, I'm now putting a picture on the screen of... Oh, I'm going to try to at least put a picture on the screen of this start line crash. As I don't know when the safety car is going to come in. I'm assuming we're going to have a safety car. It's currently lap 2 out of 44. We're probably going to have a safety car for another 4 laps, I'd say. Right. So yeah, Vettel leading. If you've just joined us, Sebastian Vettel leads this Grand Prix. So there you go. That is the start crash. Absolutely massive. Look at that. Did the halo do its job? We'll have to analyse that on another day. But that is massive. Raikkonen now on mediums. And yeah, they're just showing a replay of Spa 2012. It is very similar. And of course, Alonso is involved again. This time Alonso was on top. Someone very angry about Nico Hulkenberg in the chat. I can understand why, considering he is a massive Daniel Ricciardo fan. They need to just retire Ricciardo's car. There's no point fixing it. It's going to take way too long. He's going to be 2 laps down. Just showing an image there of the McLaren. the side pod completely fell apart on the left side and the front wing completely removed. Again, massive crash at turn 1. I'd say lap 4 or 5 will get this race underway. James Evans says it will be interesting to see Kimi and Bottas come back through. It will. We've got also Sainz to come through, who will get, I think, quite racy with the Williamses. Falling out EMS, if they fix it before the safety car finishes, he could maybe catch up. I don't think he'll be allowed to be honest. And I don't think there's any point, because by the time they get out, it's 2 or 3 laps down. You're racing for no point. Raghav Gupta, damn it, I missed the start, just saw a replay of what happened. Nico Hülkenberg went straight into the back of Alonso, got way too deep on the brakes and hit Alonso from the rear. He hit him so hard that Alonso went over the top of Charles Leclerc's car when almost on his roof, even though he doesn't have one, of course. Meaning that Nico Hülkenberg, Daniel Ricciardo's out because his rear wing was collected in that incident. Charles Leclerc as well, and Fernando Alonso. So 4 cars are out. And we have 16 cars remaining. Valtteri Bottas is at the back of the field. This time Hamilton will have the slipstream. I can guarantee you he is saving all of the battery that he can. Another replay of the start. So Hamilton and Vettel, I say Vettel got a better start, but it wasn't massively better than Hamilton tried to kind of push him as wide as possible. And then Hülkenberg, you can see, gets very deep on the brakes, hits Alonso. So Alonso goes up in the air because he hit Leclerc's rear wing and then went completely over Charles Leclerc's car. Let's see from Valtteri Bottas' camera, because he was actually behind Alonso on the grid. Oh, Bottas broke his front wing, hitting the back of, I think that was Sergei Sirotkin. I think Bottas might have been kind of distracted by what was going on to the left. Here's Kimi Raikkonen on the run to Eau Rouge. You do not want to be going to Eau Rouge with a puncture with cars behind you. Safety car is in this lap. Ricciardo is back out, but he is racing essentially for no reason because he's not going to score any points. He's about 2 laps down. Or even if he's a lap down, again, he's not going to do anything from there. There is Ricciardo. Safety car is about to end, and he's only just come to the Kemmel Straights now, coming through Lecombe. I don't know where the head of the pack is. I think, yep, they've just come through Pouhon. So Ricciardo will get up to the back of the pack, but I think he is 2 laps down at least. So I don't see how Ricciardo really can do anything in this race now. So the race is about to get back underway. Now, after what's happened, what are your predictions now for podiums and such? Well, Kimi Raikkonen, can he get a podium from there? I don't think he can. I think it's now Verstappen who should be going for that podium. Sebastian Vettel slows up a lot. Of course, Sebastian is very, very good at a restart. That's one of his best qualities as a racing driver. Hamilton, I'm sure, would have charged up his ERS battery. Still Vettel for the win. I'm still going Vettel for the win also, but we don't know what's going to happen on this restart. Hamilton might get an amazing slingshot onto the Kemmel Straight. We'll have to see. When will Vettel go? He goes now through Blanchemont. I think he's gone too early there, Sebastian Vettel, because Lewis Hamilton now gets the slipstream. And Hamilton goes down the inside, does he? He can't overtake yet because he's not at the safety car line. And now he comes through. And we are back underway. Sebastian Vettel leads from Lewis Hamilton second, Perez third, Ocon fourth, Verstappen fifth, and Grosjean is going for a move on Verstappen, but he's not going to go for it. The 2 Williams is racing very close. Bottas going down the inside of Stoffel Van Dorn. There's still debris on the track. Still debris on the track. Vettel is pulling away quite a lot as they now go through Raidillon. I don't think Hamilton is going to be able... No, he can't. Vettel's too far ahead, so Vettel has the lead. And the Force Indias are getting a bit racy. Grosjean getting racy behind Max Verstappen. Haas in P6 and P7. If Renault don't score points, then Haas are in for a great day. As now Verstappen has to try and figure out how he gets past these two Force Indians, because the only way you can get past is if you get a good run in the slipstream on a straight. Of course, the Force India in a straight line is way faster than the Red Bull. So what does Max do? Where does he attack? W says Ricciardo needs to get needs about 4 more safety cars to get in the points. You're absolutely right. Ricciardo is a lap down. Okay, so if a safety car comes out, then I think Ricciardo might be able to get back on the lead lap. We'll have to see how that plays out if we do get another safety car. But Perez is a second ahead of Ocon. There's now already a gap from Hamilton and Vettel down to Perez of about 2 seconds. Vettel is now 1.6 in the lead. Vettel is controlling this race absolutely how I thought he would. Hulkenberg race ban. It wasn't anywhere near as bad as Grosjean's, but definitely a penalty for the next race. Definitely a penalty for the next race. And can Verstappen? He's not close enough. He's nowhere near close enough to the back of Esteban Ocon to have a move. This is the issue for Red Bull. What can they do? They're nowhere near in a straight line with the Force Indias. They can't do anything. So Vettel leads, Hamilton second, Perez third, Ocon fourth, Verstappen fifth, Grosjean sixth. Sorokin just went up to P9. Very good there. So yeah, Grosjean sixth, Magnussen seventh, Gasly is eighth, and only half a second behind Kevin Magnussen. And then you have Sergei Sorokin ninth, Ericsson 10th, Stroll 11th, Sainz in 12th, Hartley 13th, Bottas 14th, Raikkonen 15th, Van Dorn 16th, and then Ricciardo 17th, and a full lap down on the entire field. As Verstappen is now closing up to Ocon, only 3/10 behind in the middle sector, but you can't pass in the middle sector. Not enough space to do so. You can only pass, again, on really the straights. So Verstappen needs to get right up behind and hope that he can get some kind of slipstream with that very skinny rear wing the Red Bull is running this weekend. Force India running a lot more rear wing, but of course they don't need to run a skinny rear wing because they're so fast in a straight line. Vettel now 2.1 in the lead. This crash will bring the halo back in question. We'll analyse that, I'm sure, after the race. Verstappen close up behind Ocon, but again, doesn't have the straight line speed to do anything. I'll now try and post a picture. I was just seeing someone, I think it was Niblo, saying that Red Bull have the skinniest rear wing he's ever seen. It is ridiculously small. It's not the smallest I've ever seen, but it is very small. As they go up, Eau Rouge and Rayon, Verstappen is half a second behind. Can Verstappen get the move done? Here he comes now on the Camel Straight, DRS. Ocon defends, and Max goes down the inside. What a move by Max Verstappen. He did the dummy. Great move by Max, and deservedly sends those Dutch fans into a raucous atmosphere. What a move that was. Just shows you how good Max Verstappen is when he wants to be good. Let's look at this again. So he goes to the outside and then cuts dramatically back to the inside. Daniel Ricciardo-esque. And Ocon has nothing. There's nothing Ocon can do about it. There's absolutely nothing he can do. What a move by Max. That's one of the best moves I've seen in quite a long time at that corner. And now he goes hunting after Sergio Perez. Can he do a similar move on Perez? This is at the safety car restart, guys. As you can see there, Vettel was backing up the pack, and it's the same order pretty much. Vettel leading from Hamilton, Perez third, but now Verstappen in P4 and about 1.5 seconds behind Perez. Vettel is dominating. So far, he is. But we'll have to see what happens when we get to the pit window, because it might close up. We don't know. Bottas trying to pass Brendan Hartley. He's not going to do it in Eau Rouge, is he? He is. I think the Honda's not that bad in a straight line. And Bottas goes around the outside at Eau Rouge. Good move. Let's see what this looks like. I tell you, Kimi Raikkonen is struggling because Daniel Ricciardo's unlapped himself against Kimi Raikkonen. So Raikkonen is having a mare back there. He's pitted again. There's an issue with his car. Something's wrong with Kimi Raikkonen. I knew something. Yep, his brake. Something. Is it his brakes or something's wrong? But so now he comes out. I don't know what is wrong with Kimi Raikkonen, but his race is over in terms of points, I think. And if there's no safety car, I don't see how Kimi can score points. Daniel Ricciardo unlapped himself against Kimi Raikkonen. Kimi's now half a minute behind Van Dorn in 15th. Will Hamilton overtake Seb? Not right now, but once we get to the pit window, he might be able to make a move. So Vettel leads from 2.8 seconds to Hamilton. Perez is 7 seconds behind Hamilton, and now Verstappen is within a second of Sergio Perez. I'd say Verstappen will pass Perez probably in a lap and a half's time. Bottas now coming up to Carlos Sainz, only half a second behind. Bottas starting on super softs, by the way. Or no, he pitted for super softs, sorry, because he started on the softs. So here comes Bottas. Closing up to Sainz. He's not going to pass into the bus stop. He's too far behind. He should be able to get past on the Kemmel Straight. Vettel fastest lap, 48.6. Does DRS even have an effect on the Red Bull? How much can the drag be reduced? I think it was Anthony Davidson saying that with these cars, DRS is actually more powerful if you run more rear wing. So it's not that powerful with the DRS. Is not that powerful if you run a skinny rear wing. They're just doing that because they are so slow in a straight line. Here's Bottas then. He's going to get past Carlos Sainz in a straight line. Yep, Sainz not going to fight it. Bottas up to 12th. Verstappen will probably crash out Hamilton or Vettel if he gets in the top 3. At this rate, if Verstappen gets into the top 3, I don't see how he's going to lose the top 3 because everyone else is too slow. But right now, I think Force India can get a 4th and a 5th right now. Kimi Raikkonen back in. His race is over. I don't even know why they're trying to... There's something wrong, I think, with his brakes. Yep, they're now putting him back in the garage. Kimi Raikkonen looked like he was going to get pole. Maybe a win. It's all over once again. Poor Kimi. Yep, indeed. It's so sad. By the way, Hamilton is now starting to peg the gap to Vettel. Vettel got it to 2.8, but he can't get it any higher than that. Verstappen looks like he's going to pass Perez, I would say, in the next lap or so. Bye-bye Ferrari constructors. Maybe. We'll have to see what happens in the rest of the season. Verstappen closing on Perez. The Red Bull is so much better in the braking zones. Obviously, the Red Bull is way faster than the Force India. Rear damage to the car. Understandable. It's probably because he ripped some floor off. Here we go then. Max Verstappen is going to pass Sergio Perez for P3. This is not even going to be competitive. Perez is going to defend though, but Max Verstappen just goes round the outside. And Max Verstappen is up to 3rd. And the Dutch fans go crazy once again. So it's Vettel leading from Hamilton 2nd, Verstappen 3rd, Perez 4th, Ocon 5th, Grosjean 6th, Magnussen 7th, Gasly 8th, Ericsson is 9th and only half a second behind. So we should see that battle, please. And then I think in 10th is Sergei Sirotkin. Here's a replay of the move. Simple as straight line speed and DRS getting that done. Vettel now 3.1. ahead of Lewis Hamilton. Vettel controlling the race out front. Why are they playing ads on German TV? We had the same problem back in the days of ITV between 1997 and 2008. But I wasn't watching F1 back then, thank God, because ads during races, that's not how you should be watching F1 races. Raghav Gupta, I think top 5 will stay as it is. Yeah. I think Grosjean might be able to get to one of the Force Indias. Grosjean is only 2 seconds behind. But yeah, I agree. I think it will stay the same unless we get a safety car. Ricciardo is still a lap down on the field. He is trying to... Who's he trying? I think he's trying to pass Sainz to unlap himself. Vettel is at his best when he's in the lead. Well, not exactly at the German Grand Prix, but I do agree. When he's controlling the race like this, he is one of the best I've seen at doing such a thing. I'll show you now a picture of Max Verstappen doing his thing, getting past Esteban Ocon, and he is now past Sergio Perez. I'll post that picture now. Stroll, Sirotkin and Stroll, sorry, in P10 and P11, looking very good. Here is an image of Verstappen passing Esteban Ocon. What a move that was. That is the move of the race so far. Is this the best race of the year so far? No, not even close. It's been a good race so far, but nowhere near best race. We need like a safety car if it's going to be the best race so far. France should have been added in 2017 instead of 2018. Seb, best of all time at controlling a race. No, I wouldn't say he's the best of all time, but he is one of the best I've seen. I think the best at controlling a race you could say was Prost, or I'm trying to think who else. You could say Jim Clark, Jackie Stewart. There's quite a few that were very good at controlling a race. Jenson Button was good once he got out into the lead. Vettel definitely up there, but I'd probably say Prost was the best at controlling a race, and not only controlling a race, but controlling his car in terms of reliability. So he could get to the finish and score as many points as possible. Vettel leads by 4 seconds from Lewis Hamilton. Great start, but I think very less overtakes now, I think. Well, we'll see. Bottas is now past Stroll and now is going to pass Sergei Sirotkin. So Bottas is about to go into the points. Why is an ad for F1 running during an F1 race? I don't know. Bottas will finish 4th. As he passes Sergei Sirotkin now. I'm just looking at the gaps. Yeah, he should finish 4th. He should. He just needs to make sure he doesn't have an accident with someone. And he should. Yeah, he should finish 4th. As Ricciardo is getting past the Williamses, unlapping himself. Verstappen, by the way, is 10.5 seconds behind Lewis Hamilton. So Red Bull are miles off the pace. They're good enough right now to get a podium, but nothing really better than that. So here is Sebastian Vettel on board, looking very controlled. Still, though, as I'll say, 32 laps left, so there is still a chance for Mercedes to do something, and there is still a chance of Ferrari blowing it, so it's not over yet. Do you want Verstappen to pass Ham? I'd like it if they were close in racing, but we'll see. I hope Kimi can get a win at another race. I think this was one of his best chances. I think another race like Brazil is a good chance. He is quite good at Interlagos. But this weekend was such a good chance, and he's so unlucky. So unlucky. It's not even funny. Ricciardo is just wearing off his engine. I agree. the best he's going to finish, if there's no safety car, is what? 14th? 13th? Because he'll unlap himself and then maybe he'll catch them back up at the end. They're basically out there praying for a safety car. That's all they're doing. They're just out there praying for a safety car so then they can unlap themselves and then get themselves up to P6 or P7. As Vettel 3.7 ahead. By the way, Max Verstappen is about 15 seconds already behind the race leader. That's how far off the pace Red Bull are at this Grand Prix. 13 laps down, including 3 laps behind the safety car, and Verstappen is losing at least a second a lap. They're way off the pace. I hope Lewis retires. From your point of view, I completely understand. So, lap 14 now. It is Vettel from Hamilton, Verstappen 3rd, Perez 4th, Ocon 5th, Grosjean 6th, Magnussen 7th, Gasly in 8th, Ericsson 9th, Valtteri Bottas in 10th. Then it's Sorokin, P11, Stroll 12th, Sainz 13th, Hartley 14th, Van Dorn 15th, Ricciardo 16th and a lap down. And your retirees are Kimi Raikkonen, Charles Leclerc, Fernando Alonso and Nico Hülkenberg. As Verstappen essentially just needs to pull away from the Force Indias, try and get a pit stop gap, and then pit, and then he can cruise home for 3rd. That's all he can do if there is no safety cars. I also hope Verstappen finishes on the podium. I do too. It'd be a great atmosphere at the track if that did happen. There's nothing at the minute, though, that Mercedes or Lewis Hamilton can do to halt Sebastian Vettel. There's nothing they can do. Vettel and Ferrari are just too fast in dry conditions. But, as we've seen in the past, it's not over until it is over. Crash Stappen of the day from Legendary Snipers is Hülkenberg. Indeed. Very poor mistake, considering that it's him making it. Very poor mistake. Right. So I will now post a picture of Verstappen now passing Sergio Perez around the outside. There's nothing really going on at the track at the minute, guys. I hope I could, scream and shout about something, but there's nothing to scream or shout about. There's nothing going on right now. It's just Bottas slowly getting his way through the field. And yeah, that's about it. There's nothing really going on right now. It's turned actually into quite a boring race. But I will say the clouds are getting a bit darker, so maybe we could get a surprise rain shower. Hamilton should save his engine. Well, he's got a new one in, so I don't think he needs to. He's 4 seconds behind. I think what Mercedes are going to do is just try and push like crazy at the pit stop window. And if they can't get him at the pit stop window, then yeah, turn it down and try and get the P2. Of course, right now as it stands, Hamilton still leads the championship by 17 points if Vettel wins and Hamilton finishes 2nd. So it's not doom and gloom if Sebastian wins this race, but obviously not great. Without overtaking, races are boring. Yeah, they are. Vettel leads by 3.7. Verstappen is about 15 off the lead. Haas doing very well, 6th and 7th. If they finish there, and with Carlos Sainz not really doing well at all and showing quite poor pace in P13 on medium tyres, then I think the gap is... Is it 16 points? Something like that. 16 points is the gap between the two. So Haas at the moment, I think, would be 2 points behind Renault in the Constructors if it finishes like this. So very good right now for Haas. All they need now is a couple retirements ahead and they will overtake Haas. Or overtake Renault, sorry. Hamilton will try the undercut. They'll try, but I don't think he's close enough. As I say that though, Lewis Hamilton sets a new fastest lap, a 1:48.4. Interesting. Ericsson is trying to pass Pierre Gasly. He's not that far behind, only a second and a half, but he has Bottas a second and a half behind him. Wouldn't it be a shame if Hamilton ran over debris? Ericsson, can he get close enough to pass Gasly? Not right now, but if he does get within DRS, I think Ericsson will get past Gasly for P8. And if Ericsson finished P8, then I don't understand how he's under pressure for a seat. It baffles me why he is. Right now he's in the points, and I think he's going to finish in the points right now. I think P9 or P10 is where he'll finish. Hamilton is not great around this track, honestly. I disagree. He's won... How many has he won? He's won 3 races here. He's took pole position, I think, 5 times. Or at least 4 times. He is good around this track. He just has a checkered history at this track. 2008, he won, in my opinion, fairly. And it was took away from him. So you could say 4 race wins at Spa. So I wouldn't say that's him not being great at this track. He is now setting fastest sectors, by the way. So he is trying to close the gap for an undercut, I think. Bottas closing in on Marcus Ericsson. A new fastest lap from Lewis Hamilton again, 48.2. So Hamilton is now pushing to try and get that gap down. He needs to get it down, I would say, to 2 seconds for an undercut if Vettel pits the next lap. But if Vettel doesn't pit the next lap, then probably get it down to 3. Ricciardo 16th. He's coming up to the back of Bottas and Ericsson, but of course he's a full lap behind. Hamilton gained 0.2 of a second on Vettel on that lap. Vettel and Hamilton are way out in front. In a class of their own, Bottas, I think, is about to pass Marcus Ericsson. He's only half a second behind. Here we go. Eau Rouge into Radion. Yeah, he's going to pass him. DRS. Valtteri Bottas is now up into P9 for the Belgian Grand Prix. So Bottas, how many seconds? Bottas is, I think, between 12 and 15 seconds behind Perez. So he will get him eventually. He will get up to him. Hamilton continuously closing the gap. It's now 3.4. I don't think no one can pass Vettel and Hamilton because they're just too fast for everyone else. It reminds me a lot of Michael Schumacher and Mika Häkkinen back in those days where they would have races where they were close-ish to each other and would be pushing each other so fast that the rest would be sometimes almost a lap behind. I remember back to Suzuka 2000 where Schumacher won his first title for Ferrari. Schumacher and Häkkinen were separated by a second, and then Coulthard in third was almost a full lap behind. It's very similar with Vettel and Hamilton. They're just so fast and they're pushing each other so, hard that the rest can't compete, and thus why they're so far behind. Verstappen is now 17 seconds behind Vettel. I think that's maybe what Vettel is waiting for, is to get Verstappen out of his pit window so Vettel can pit. And Hamilton, if Hamilton pits now, he should be able to come out in between Verstappen and Perez and be about okay. But Vettel, he's in a rock and a hard place because if he pits now, he will be not that far behind Max Verstappen. As Bottas, slipstream on Pierre Gasly, he's going to pass him. Gasly tries to defend, and Bottas gets past. I will say though, I've noticed the Honda-powered Toro Rosso is really good in a straight line today. Hartley almost kept Bottas behind on the run up to Eau Rouge. So Honda, they look really good. Bottas didn't have it easy there. He only just got his whole car in front. Honda looking good. Renault don't look as good as that in a straight line. I can tell you that. As Ricciardo has just unlapped himself against Marcus Ericsson, he's going to unlap himself against Pierre Gasly in a moment. 3.5 seconds the gap as Mercedes come out into the pit box and go back in. They are playing games at Mercedes. As Bottas... This is the thing with Bottas, he pitted early for the Super Softs, and now, because that's his only new set of Super Softs, he's going to have to go on to the new set of soft tyres, because he doesn't have any new set of Super Softs. That's not how they wanted to play his strategy out. It was supposed to be start on softs and then go to the Super Softs, but that crash and him hitting the back of Sorokin has ruined his race in terms of strategy, but I still think he'll get P4. 3.2 the gap now, so Hamilton is giving it some, but he's just gained back Vettel about 0.3 of a second. It's to and thrown at the front. Alonso at the start, GP2 start. Hamilton can see Vettel, but he's not close enough to properly get a look at the rear of Sebastian's car. Let me post a picture now. Bottas passing some cars. The Ferrari mechanics look like they're ready for a pit stop very soon. Sat in front of Kimi Räikkönen's stricken car. And Hamilton's got it down to about 3 seconds now. Vettel stays out. What does Hamilton do? What is Hamilton going to do? Hamilton stays out. So, basically one team is waiting to see what the other does. They're just playing cat and mouse right now. But Hamilton is definitely gaining on Sebastian Vettel. That on the screen right there, that's Bottas making his way through the field. He's up to P8 and 2 seconds behind now Kevin Magnussen. So Bottas, I think by the time he pits again, will get up to P6. Then he'll pit and then he'll probably pass the two Force Indias in the final stint of the race. As Hamilton is 3 seconds behind Vettel. He's closed it back in the last few laps by about a second. I've noticed this as well, is that the Ferrari in the early laps of the race is very good, and then towards the end of a stint it drops off. And the Mercedes then tends to come back towards the Ferrari. Someone just said left rear of Hamilton. I just saw his left rear. It does look marked up in the middle. I do agree. We'll have to see Vettel's though, because if Hamilton is catching, then maybe Sebastian has the same issue. Who knows? But Hamilton is gaining. His right rear doesn't look too smart either in the middle. He took about 1/10 of a second out of this lap. Hamilton stays out, and so does Sebastian Vettel. What is the gap as they cross the line? It's about the same. So, yeah, they both lapped about the same on that lap. Hamilton's left rear, yep, it is marking up in the middle. He's suffering some rear tyre wear. We need to see those Sebastian's rear tyres to see what his is like. But Lewis's left rear does not look that smart. Sebastian's already gained 1/4 of a second. Seb just needs to get that gap to max, then he will pit. Yep, that's what he's trying to do. I think, give it another 3. Let me just look at the gap. This is the thing though, is Verstappen looks like he's kind of kept the gap at the same distance, about 17 seconds. So, I think basically what they've got to do, at this point, if I was Ferrari, I would just wait until Hamilton pits, capitalise on Lewis's bad rear tyre and try and pull away a bit, get it to 3.5 to 4 seconds, wait for Lewis to pit, and then pit the lap after with Vettel. That's what I would do right now. So hopefully Ferrari don't blow it like they usually do. Vettel's tyres look better than Hamilton. Verstappen is 14.5 seconds behind Hamilton and about 18 behind Vettel. So Vettel needs, I'd say, 3 to 4 more seconds over Max to be safe. Another replay of the start. What a massive crash that was. Even part of the engine fell out. It was that big. The only best part of 2017 Mexican Grand Prix was battle between Hamilton and Alonso. Yeah, it was. Here comes Lewis Hamilton pitting, putting on the soft compound tyres. Ferrari surely have to pit at the end of lap 22. That's what they should do. If they don't, then they're putting themselves at a massive risk of being undercut because Hamilton will now give it absolutely everything he has. So hopefully Ferrari do the right thing here and pit at the end of this lap. They have to pit. They have to pit. Hamilton is 3 seconds behind Verstappen. So if Vettel pitted now, Vettel would come out about side by side, I would say, with Max. Vettel should pit now. He has to. He has to. And they have to make sure they don't make a mistake on the pit stop because I'm sure Hamilton is 21.1 behind Vettel. Is that gap closing or not? I don't know. It's so close between Vettel and Verstappen. If Vettel gets stuck behind Verstappen and can't get past on the Kemmel Straight, then that might give Hamilton the look at an overtake he needs. They said on the radio, right, yep, here they come. Sebastian Vettel is about to pit. They have to get this pit stop right. They cannot make a mistake. Here he comes. Gently does it into the pit entry, and here we go. Coming down. Boxes now. Will they get the pit stop right? They did not get it right in Hungary. They get it right. Where is Max? There they are. Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton. Hamilton has DRS. I think Vettel is going to do it. I think, yes, he is. Sebastian Vettel rejoins in the lead of the Belgian Grand Prix. And that, I think, ladies and gentlemen, is the race over. Sebastian Vettel, I think, has now won this race. Hamilton is going to get past Verstappen now with DRS. There you go. Hamilton goes flying past the Red Bull. Vettel is... He's only a second ahead of Hamilton, so if Hamilton can keep up some speed, then maybe Lewis can do something to affect Vettel. But again, as I've said at the start of a stint, Ferrari are very good, but at the end, Mercedes improve. So Vettel leads, Hamilton second, Verstappen third, Perez fourth, Ocon in fifth, Grosjean sixth, and then I think it's Magnussen seventh with Bottas eighth, Gasly ninth and Ericsson 10th. Thank Christ for that. Very easy overtake by Lewis Hamilton, and now he needs, in the next 20 laps, he needs to try and keep up with Vettel, not fall 4 seconds behind like he did, and then peg the gap back at the end of the race, and then he might have a chance of victory. Just hoping Vettel doesn't pull off at Germany. Well, we'll have to see. Got 20 laps to go. Hamilton is 1.5 seconds behind, so he is took out. What did he take out? 2 seconds on Vettel. So, you know, if Vettel did not pit, you could see Hamilton would have took the lead. So the right decision there by Ferrari. A decision they had to make. Hamilton doing the fastest lap of 46.721. Very fast lap. That's about 1.5 seconds faster than the lap before. That's not the fastest race lap record though. The fastest race lap record is a 46.5. but that will be broken very soon, I think. Right, I'll try now, guys. Get a new picture on the screen. As Haas come out for some, who are they pitting? Grosjean. They're going to put on a set of soft compound tyres. Hopefully they get this right and don't blow it like Australia. It's a bit slow on the right rear. 3.1 seconds, but I think that's a good stop. So now I'll post a picture of Vettel keeping ahead of Hamilton whilst Hamilton was stuck behind Verstappen. If Hamilton wasn't stuck behind Verstappen, would Hamilton have had a sneaky little chance at Vettel? Who knows? He definitely lost time, but not a dramatic amount. There you go. Yeah, 20 laps to go. Vettel leading from Hamilton, Verstappen third, Perez fourth, Ocon fifth, Bottas is sixth but has not pitted yet. Magnussen is 7th, Gasly 8th, Ericsson 9th, and then Grosjean 10th. But Grosjean has just pitted. What is the gap at the front? They're not showing us right now. It's not very warm out on the track, only 27. That's a lot lower compared to what it was like in Hungary on race day. The gap between Vettel and Hamilton is, I think it's like 2 seconds. Here comes Force India for a pit stop. This has to be Perez, who is coming in. It's Ocon. That's a surprise. I thought the lead car normally gets first dibs on that. Ricciardo is 16th and a lap down on most of the field. Ocon, where's he going to come out in respect to Gasly and Ericsson? He's behind Gasly, but not by miles, and he's only just ahead of Ericsson. So Ocon covering off Romain Grosjean's stop. That's what that was all about. So I'm assuming Perez will stop this lap. 2 seconds between Vettel and Hamilton. Verstappen is 5.8 behind, or 6 seconds, sorry, behind Hamilton. But Verstappen has not pitted yet. So once he pits, that'll go up to about 25 seconds. Perez still out on track in P4. Bottas is 11.5 seconds behind. So it's going to be close at the end with Bottas and Perez, but I think Bottas will have enough. I think, 19, 18 laps to go now. I think Bottas will have enough pace at the end of the race to get past. But it would be great if Perez could hold off Bottas for a P4. Perez, I think, is about to pit now. Fastest lap, Sebastian Vettel, 46.6. That's not the fastest lap or fastest race lap record yet. Ferrari nearly screwed up the strategy. No, I don't think they did. I think they did exactly what they needed to do. They couldn't be sure if they had a gap to Max, so they had to wait for Mercedes to pit first. That's what I would have done. And then pit the lap after. That's what I would have done. And they did that, and it's worked out brilliantly. As Ocon got past Gasly, then as Gasly pits, Perez will now come out in P5. Sad to say, though, guys, there's not really any, racing going out on the track. Ocon just got past Gasly, but it wasn't really for a legitimate position, even though they were racing for position, because Ocon had already pitted and Gasly was coming into the pit lane. Very good stop there by Toro Rosso, 2.4 seconds. Comes out of the pits, don't spin it this time. Hartley has now been promoted to 10th and Gasly is 11th after his pit stop. So I think Hartley will let Gasly through soon if Hartley stays out any more. Vettel's now 3 seconds ahead of Hamilton. Hamilton has no speed right now. So yeah, I think that's race over unless Vettel has an issue. Or safety car comes out. It's race over, I think. I think Vettel's got this one in the bag. I think it's going to be Vettel winning, Hamilton second, Verstappen third. And then probably Bottas 4th, Perez 5th, Ocon 6th, Grosjean 7th, Magnussen 8th, Gasly 9th, Ericsson 10th. I think that's what it's going to be. As Verstappen pits and goes on his way. 2.5, great stop. Where will he come out? He's not going to come out behind anyone. He's going to come out with, well, no one in front of him or behind him. Lewis will probably blow it. Well, we need to see. We need to see. Again, ads in Germany. Hi to Lucas, who's just tuned in. Verstappen has got going now. Ericsson's coming out with a set of super soft tyres. You got to remember as well, this is one thing I forgot, is that Ericsson, he did very well in that first stint. He was on softs and was actually quite quick. They had to hold Kevin Magnussen there. So now Ericsson can put on super softs. You don't know, he might be able to pull off something here. He should get points. Ericsson is behind... Is he behind Gasly? No, he's not. Or is he? No, that's Hartley. Sorry about that. I thought that was Gasly. It is only Brendan Hartley, but he is Ericsson 2.7 behind Pierre Gasly. But with Magnussen, as Hartley's trying to pass Marcus Ericsson, and he flew past. The Honda power unit is having such a good race today. Red Bull are going to be smiling from ear to ear after seeing that and seeing how it's performing in the race today. This has got to be one of their best performances as a engine supplier so far for Honda. Their power in a straight line is so good. So good. The race is not that great, honestly. No, it's not. It's, I'd say, at a same level as France right now. It's not bad, but it's not good. It's just meh. But I'm very impressed with Hartley there. He's not going to keep that position because Ericsson's on fresh super softs. But, wow. Hartley flying past a Ferrari power car with Honda power. He flew past. Ericsson didn't stand a chance. That's incredible to me. But now Ericsson is going to get his revenge. Not into Blanchimont because he's too far behind. Probably now into the bus stop. Going to go around the outside. Hartley brakes very nicely there in the middle. Covering off all possibilities. Cuts back, does Marcus Ericsson. DRS, he's going to get the move done. Probably into the source. Is Hartley going to defend? No, he's not. So, oh, that was close. That was very close. And now Hartley. Let's see now if Hartley can get a good run at the hill. I don't think he will because I think his tyres are dead compared to Ericsson's. But let's see what happens here. You know what? Ericsson, he's going to do it again. Hartley's going to do it again. He is going to do it again. Sure, he's going to do it, is he? He is. Hartley gets past again. What is going on? The Honda power unit is good. It's good. I can't believe that. It just flew past the Ferrari again. If they improve Honda for next year as well, watch out for Red Bull. This is really surprising to me. I can't believe that. He's overtook a Ferrari-powered Sauber, which, by the way, the Sauber in a straight line is very fast and efficient. He's passed him twice in 2 laps. They need to put the camera on Christian Horner. I can't believe... This is one of the headlines of the race for me, is the pace of the Honda-powered Toro Rosso in a straight line. By the way, Vettel is almost 5 seconds ahead of Lewis Hamilton. So that is done and dusted with 15 laps to go. Bottas. And now we're going to see another duel between Ericsson and Hartley. Hartley is not pitting. I thought he was then. He's going to stay out and continue the battle. He might as well just let Ericsson through at the source and then get a switch back. But Ericsson, I know exactly what Ericsson's going to do. He's going to wait for the Kemmel Straight. So Hartley and Honda's joy is about to be eliminated, and if they hold off the Ferrari-powered Sauber in a straight line, then I will be losing my mind. But they're not going to. Here he comes. In a straight line, easy enough. It was fun it was very fun while it lasted. Hamilton, please bottle it for championship reasons. Merck going to gain on Ferrari and Constructors. Yes, Mercedes are in the lead by 8 points, I think. And as it stands, Mercedes will be extending that by 5 points, I think. So it will go from a, 13-point gap? Something like that. Bottas is now pitting, though, so he's not going to be P4 for long. Oh, we almost hit the wall then. So Bottas has 14 laps to catch Perez, who is probably, when Bottas comes out of the pit box, probably going to be 10 seconds behind Perez. So Perez has gone through. Ocon is going through. You know what? I don't think he is going to get P4 because he's got to pass Ocon as well. And that's not going to be easy. That is not going to be easy. Driver of the day so far. There's not a clear one for me. I want to see to the end of the race because if Perez can hold off Bottas, then I'd probably give it to Perez. But I'm thinking as well Pierre Gasly. P9 in a, Toro Rosso. Very, very good. Bottas around the outside at Eau Rouge and into Radion. Very good. They're just showing replay of Bottas and his race so far. Ricciardo is ahead of Bottas. Opinion on lap 1 collision. Completely Hulkenberg's fault. Got way too deep on the brakes. He carried way too much speed in. Completely his fault. And I think because of the type of person he is, he will admit that. I do think, though, he should get a penalty for Monza because it was quite a bad accident that he did cause. As Vettel now, 5 seconds ahead. Just to give you reference of how fast, Ferrari are compared to Force India, Sebastian Vettel is he's almost a minute, I would say, ahead of Perez in 4th. That's how fast the Ferrari is. And who's coming into the pits? It is Daniel Ricciardo. He is coming in to retire. Well, that lasted, 20 laps, 30 laps? Very sad. But there was no point continuing because, a safety car's not going to come out. No, his luck, though, it probably will in about 2 laps' time. Vettel, Hamilton, Verstappen, Perez, and then Bottas is what Gamer Ben is going for the top 5 now. Bottas is now 1 second behind Ocon, and then he's got 7 seconds to Perez. So Bottas can and probably will get up to Perez, but can he get him? Who hit Raikkonen with the puncture? I don't actually know. We're going to see now the replay. Who hit him? It was Ricciardo. It was Ricciardo who hit him. Basically, I think Ricciardo got hit at the back and then he couldn't really go anywhere else, so he just went straight into the back of Kimi's rear tyre. So Daniel Ricciardo is the one who caused that. They just showed a replay of that. Great timing for that question by Lucas. Bottas within a second of Ocon. Don't even, Chazza. And who hit Ricciardo? I think it was Leclerc who hit Ricciardo because Alonso hit and went over the top of Leclerc, I think. I'm not 100% sure. The only way Hamilton can win is a safety car. And there is none. The only way he can win is if Vettel has an issue or there's a safety car. I don't think there's going to be a safety car, and Ferrari's reliability is actually better than Mercedes, so yeah. Bottas is about to pass Ocon, I think. Coming up, rally on. He's going to pass him. Here we go. Camel straight. Valtteri Bottas is up into 5th place. Now he has 7.5 seconds to go after the Force India of Sergio Perez. Just trying to find a picture for you guys, sorry. Just show you visual confirmation of the driver that has just retired, Daniel Ricciardo. Ricciardo talking to Helmut Marko about, I guess, his race or what happened. Here you go. That was a couple laps ago where he boxed it and to, well, retire from the race. This weekend for Ricciardo has probably been one of the worst since he started driving for Red Bull, I'd say. I can't remember a race this bad. Hartley's retiring, I think. I think he's just pitted. I think that's why he is down there now. Yeah, he's just pitted. He's 20 seconds behind the Force India. Force India? I'm thinking of Bottas. Behind the two Williamses. By the way, the two Williamses 12th and 13th, and Sorokin is only a second behind Sainz. So Williams not doing that bad. Ocon deserved to be ahead of Perez. You say that, but Perez is 7 seconds ahead of Ocon. So Perez has shown that he is the better driver today in race trim. Sainz passing Sorokin, that's why they're still kind of close. So the Williams will now fall away. Good speed there by the Renault in a straight line. There's such little action going on that they're showing it 3 or 4 times. Vettel now leading by 5.3 seconds as Valtteri Bottas has now set a new lap record. 1:46.286. But I think that will come down even more. Vettel is about 5.5 seconds ahead for the person asking in the chat. Yeah, I'm going to be honest with you guys, there's nothing happening right now. As they're showing the championship table. So right now as it stands, Vettel would be 17 points behind going into Ferrari's home race. And at Monza, Ferrari have to deliver. If they can win this race, Ferrari, with Vettel, and win at Monza, then I think Ferrari have enough momentum to win the championship. But if they have a disaster in the last 10 laps or a disaster at Monza, then it's just going to stay the same as it was at Hockenheim in Hungary. Who is the best driver out of Verstappen, Vettel and Hamilton? Hamilton, in my opinion. Vettel is continuously pulling away from Lewis as Lewis comes through Pouon and as I think admitted defeat, kind of. Verstappen 25 seconds behind Hamilton. Perez 28 seconds behind him. Bottas is now 4.5 behind Perez. So Perez needs to get smart with his ERS deployment if he wants to keep 4th. But even if Force India finish 5th and 6th, that's what, 18 points. They're going to go up past Williams and they'll be, what, 1 or 2 points behind Sauber for the Italian Grand Prix, where Force India should score points again. It is lap 35 out of 44 as Sebastian Vettel crosses the line just then, lapping Lance Stroll for 13th. Vettel's been really good today. This has been one of his best drives of 2018, and he needed to pull this out. Could not lose to Hamilton today. Just waiting, essentially, guys, for Bottas to catch Perez. Bottas is 4 seconds behind with about 9 laps to go. Bottas is catching about 3/4 of a second to a second a lap. So Bottas will, I think he will pass him. So I think Bottas is nailed on for 4th. So I think it's going to end up Vettel winning from Hamilton 2nd, Verstappen 3rd, Perez... Oh no, Bottas will finish 4th in my opinion. And then Perez will be 5th. And then Ocon 6th, Grosjean 7th, Magnussen 8th, Gasly 9th and Ericsson in 10th. What a horrible day for Renault, by the way. Haas are going to pick up 10 points. That's 10 points that could be very vital at the end of 2018. And Renault have had one of their cars retire because, well, that driver who was driving caused it. And Sainz is too far away from Ericsson to get any points. So that gap is going to close down to 6, I think, between Renault and Haas. Raghav Gupta is responding to Game Ben saying Vettel was better in beginning, Hamilton better in end, and Verstappen is too aggressive. I think Verstappen eventually, though, he will get that aggression calmed down, and once he does, then, well, I think he's going to win a lot of races and a lot of championships. Perez is now, well, Bottas can now see Perez, so that'll be a nice little motivator for Valtteri Bottas. By the way, just to let you guys know, 8 laps to go. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. You can either do it in the bottom right of the screen. Click on my channel name or click on the link in the description. Click on the link in the description if you want to join the Discord server. We've got over 50 people in there. It's such a great community over there. Also, if you want to follow me on Twitter, please do. A link to that is also in the description. Like this video, comment down below for the last 8 laps of this race. And as well, just to let you guys know of what is going to be happening once the race ends, I'm going to be on probably until the podium, and then I'm going to come off, and then about 45 minutes later at 4:30, I think, nearer 4:30, I'm going to go live again for the race reaction to the Belgian Grand Prix. We'll go through all the teams and react to what has happened. That is the plan. And then tomorrow, guys, 4 PM or around 4 PM, the Belgian Grand Prix race review. And then at 6 PM UK time, I'll be going live again to have a Q&A with you guys. You can ask me anything and I will answer it. And yes, so on and so forth. But with 8 laps to go, guys, there's nothing going on. We're just waiting again for Bottas to catch Perez. That's the closest gap and the only gap that's actually closing. Everyone else is too far apart. It's going to be a very boring last 7 laps. We need something interesting to happen, like a retirement or something. Hopefully I haven't cursed anyone by saying that. I don't think Mercedes will win the 2018 title. Ferrari might win this year. I still think Mercedes and Hamilton will win. This race doesn't change it massively. Because remember, Hamilton still leads by 17 points. So if Hamilton finishes 2nd to Vettel at every race, then Vettel won't take the lead of the championship until Russia. So it still hasn't changed massively. But yeah, I still think Mercedes and Hamilton will win it because I still don't trust Ferrari fully to get the job done. Perez 3 seconds ahead of Bottas. If Perez has anything left in terms of pace, he needs to show it now. I do think Perez is not pulling away from Bottas, but kind of keeping him at bay a bit. So Perez is doing well right now. Right, I'll try and post another picture for you guys. This is... Apparently Max Verstappen just asked about the chance of rain. It's not going to rain. It looks pretty nice at Spa right now. I'll now post this picture. Wait, I can't find it a minute. Bottas is now 2.7 behind. 2.7 behind. I think by lap 40... he will start to pass him. But he needs to get close because if he doesn't, he's not going to get the position. Needs to get up to the back of him. Here you go. I think, yep, there you go. That's Max Verstappen just asking a minute ago about the chance of rain It's not going to rain, but he will finish in P3. A deserved P3. Good race from Max. He's been very good since Canada. He's been one of the best drivers, I think, since Canada on the grid. Very consistent since Canada. If he had only been consistent in the first 6 races, he would be, I think, 3rd in the championship. He's had a lot of opportunities this season. Hasn't took all of them. Perez now 1.6 ahead. If Mercedes had the Ferrari car, they would be running away with this championship. Absolutely, 1,000,000% agree with that. That's what Ferrari need. They need to couple, or they need to try and have the confidence and know-how and assurability that Mercedes have. Mercedes, they're not anywhere near as bad at making, you know, poor strategy mistakes or, you know, cocking it up as much as Ferrari do. But I'm sure, you know, if they get more experienced at winning races, then they should be able to get better at that. Perez is about 2nd ahead of Bottas, or 2nd and a half. Bottas will pass Perez, I think. There's about 6 laps to go. 1.3 behind. Vettel, by the way, is 6.5 seconds ahead of Lewis Hamilton. So Vettel is continuously pulling away. Vettel has dominated this race today. Hamilton in the Mercedes just did not have enough pace when it mattered. And it's now going up to 7 seconds. If Red Bull had the Ferrari engine, they'd be running away with this championship. Yeah, I agree. Red Bull also very good operation. I think Red Bull, you could argue, are better operating than Mercedes and Ferrari. Red Bull rarely make any key mistakes. I know how Mercedes can beat Ferrari, paint liveries on the opposite cars. So now Bottas closing up to the back of Perez. He's just within a second behind. Coming up to the source. Lock up for Bottas. Is he going to get DRS? I think he is. Yep, he is. So Valtteri Bottas will get DRS, but he will not pass on this lap. He's too far behind. But lap 40, he will get past. What Perez needs right now is a safety car. Here comes Bottas. He's closing, but he's not close enough. But the next lap, he will be close enough. Just half a second between them. As coming down through turn 8 into turn 9, the clouds are getting a bit darker, but it's not going to rain. It'd be crazy if it rained right now. Bottas coming into Puan, he is, I'd say, 6 or 7 tenths behind. We're about to have our last overtake of the race, I think. Bottas closing up to the back of Sergio Perez. Vettel now 7.5 seconds behind, so Hamilton has, well, kind of given up. He's now trying to save the engine, which is smart, in second place. So here you go then. Bottas is half a second behind. He's going to pass on the Kemmel Straight for an absolute guarantee. Closes up at the bus stop chicane. And Perez pulls away in the traction zone, but I don't think he'll be able to keep this position unless he gets an absolutely superb exit off La Source. Does he? He gets a good exit, but I wouldn't say it was great. And yeah, Bottas is going to pass. Here we go. Valtteri Bottas, up Eau Rouge, Radion. Valtteri Bottas is going to pass for P4 in this Grand Prix. Or is he? Perez defends to the inside. Bottas on the outside. Bottas takes it. Yep, he was always going to. So Valtteri Bottas is up to P4, and that is basically the race over. We are lap 40 out of 44. Your top 10 is Vettel, Hamilton, Verstappen, Bottas, Perez, Ocon, Grosjean, Magnussen, Gasly and Ericsson. That's your top 10. As we look at a replay of Bottas passing Perez. If I was teammate with Sebastian Vettel, I would try every chance to overtake him. Showing a replay again of Bottas passing Perez. The race has been quite boring, and it's that boring that they're showing replay after replay of the pass when it wasn't even that great. You got DRS, got on the slipstream, pulled to the outside, and he has way more grip than the Force India, so it was an easy overtake. As, who is this? This is Max Verstappen in P3 trying to lap Brendan Hartley. And then, yeah, that's the top 10. And then Sainz is 11th. And then Sorokin is in 12th. Stroll 13th. Hartley 14th. Van Dorn 15th. The retirees are Daniel Ricciardo, Kimi Raikkonen, Charles Leclerc, Fernando Alonso and Nico Hülkenberg. Not that great of a race today, guys. I'll be honest, I was very disappointed by this race. I thought today we'd get at least a good race. I wouldn't call this a good race. I'd call it not a bad race, but it's not worse than Canada. No way. Canada was not... Canada was so bad. This definitely better than Canada, but again, it's very similar for me to the French Grand Prix. It's not good, it's not bad, it's just meh. In the middle. Just another race. That's what it kind of feels like. Vettel is now 8.5 seconds and now 9 seconds ahead of Lewis Hamilton with 3 laps to go. Vettel is trying to humiliate Lewis Hamilton at the end here by pulling away as much as he can. Grosjean on the radio. I can't hear him though because I haven't got my TV sound on. This is a picture of Bottas as he was closing up to Perez. This is not the pass, but I'll get a picture of the pass in a minute. Grosjean, P7. He's had a good weekend, Grosjean. Very good weekend. He can be proud of himself. He's definitely improving, and I think he is deserving of keeping his seat at Haas and staying in F1. He is 4 seconds ahead of Magnussen. Just trying to get this picture for you guys up on the screen. Having a bit more trouble to do this today than usual. Right, there you go. Perez and Bottas. That's Bottas catching Perez. I'll post a picture soon of Bottas passing him. Grosjean and Magnussen, P7 and P8. Right, I've got that picture of Bottas passing Sergio Perez. Right, just going to put this on the screen now. Again, sorry if I'm not very talkative right now, but there's nothing going on the track. It's been a very, since I'd say lap 10, it's been very boring. So there's nothing, I'm afraid, really to go mad about right now. I'd love to, but we need something to happen for that to happen. Vettel is 10 seconds ahead of Lewis Hamilton. 10 seconds. He's humiliating him. The worst race of 2012 was Valencia. No way. That is not correct at all. Valencia was one of the best races. Raghav Gupta, boring race, only first lap drama and pit stop race of Vettel and Hamilton. Yeah. I think this is definitely on the boring side of, say, the 13 races we've had so far. Vettel continuously pulling away. By the way, Vettel, just for reference, is almost 1 minute and 10 seconds, so almost 70 seconds ahead of Bottas. That's what starting at the back and pitting on the first lap costs you. I'm not saying Bottas would be up there with Vettel, but he would not be 70 seconds behind. He'd probably be 15. Hopefully Monza is better. I think it will. Monza, normally we get some good overtaking, especially into turn 1, into Parabolica, Ascari. Can't wait to get that race going. Lap 43 out of 44. The race is about to end. What do you guys, think of the race? Boring? Not boring? What do you guys think? 4 of my favourite drivers retired, not Hulk. Yeah, so Ricciardo, Raikkonen, Leclerc, Alonso. Oh, that's quite sad. But I'm sure at Monza that at least 2 of those will not be retiring. Unless there's a big crash again. Here comes Sebastian Vettel, Kemmel straight. He's on his final lap of the Belgian Grand Prix. That halo of Leclerc took a beating. I'll have to look at that. But Sebastian Vettel coming through turn 8. Deservedly winning today. My driver of the day, I'd probably go Sebastian Vettel, I'm going to go Vettel, driver of the day. He's dominated this race. He's now 11.5 seconds ahead of Hamilton. And pulling away even more. It's going to end up being 12 or 12.5 seconds. Vettel has dominated this race in a very Red Bull 2011, 2013-esque drive. And when you give him a car that's good, that's this good, then he's going to do this kind of thing. He is that good when you give him what he needs. Here he comes then. Up to Blanchimont. Through Blanchimont. Coming up to the bus stop chicane. Here at Spa Francorchamps. Very deserved victory. Here he comes. For his first win at Spa since 2013. Sebastian Vettel wins the Belgian Grand Prix and Lewis Hamilton will take P2 with Max Verstappen taking the final place on the podium. Then it should be Bottas in 4th, Perez 5th, Ocon 6th, Grosjean in 7th, Magnussen 8th, Gasly 9th and Marcus Ericsson in P10 with your non-point scorers being Carlos Sainz, Sergei Sorokin, Lance Stroll, Brendan Hartley, Stoffel Van Dorn and your retirees as Verstappen crosses the line to get his first podium at Spa. And your retirees are Daniel Ricciardo, Kimi Raikkonen, Charles Leclerc, Nico Hulkenberg and Fernando Alonso. That is your 2018 Belgian Grand Prix. What did you guys think? What did you think of the race? Put in the chat right now before I end this stream and get the race reaction stream ready for about 4:30 UK time. Here comes Perez. Force India very deserving of this result. 18 points. Very important. If they can do something similar for Monza, they might catch McLaren in the Constructors. Wouldn't that be something? Boring as... I'll show that, even though there is a swear word. Boring as F. Yep. I will agree. There, Vettel celebrating. As I said, his first win at Spa since 2013. That's his 3rd win around the Ardennes Forest. Very deserved. Very, very deserved. But yeah, in the chat for the last 2 or 3 minutes, what did you guys think of the race before I go away and get the race reaction ready? Lewis Hamilton gets out the car, not really looking that happy. They just did not have the pace or the straight line speed at the start to hold back Ferrari. Too much speed. I'll now try and post a picture to end this stream of the race result. Once the picture becomes available. Hamilton looks very disappointed. Vettel waving the Ferrari flag. Will he be doing the same next weekend? We'll see, but right now he is waving that flag as Ferrari. Not a lot to talk about for the podcast. Yeah, you're right. It should be quite a quick podcast when it comes to reviewing this race. But Vettel now coming to the weighbridge. I heard nothing but boring, boring, boring. Yeah, wasn't a great race. Was not a great race at all. The drivers are now going to take their interviews. Maybe at Monza, Mercedes might have better pace. I actually think Ferrari will be even stronger at Monza. I think Monza suits Ferrari more than Spa does. So, yeah, Mercedes have a tough road ahead. They really need to max out, you know, upgrade, development, and everything to beat Ferrari. Because if Ferrari don't make any mistakes going forward, I don't see how Mercedes will eventually be able to hold them back. But you know what, guys? I think now, let me just check and find the race result for you guys. But I think now I'm going to end the stream. Let me just post a picture just to remind you guys of your top 3 for the Belgian Grand Prix. Vettel, of course, winning from Hamilton second, but Verstappen in third. But I'll just remind you guys, there you go. Sebastian Vettel wins at Spa Francorchamps from Lewis Hamilton second, Verstappen third, and then it was Bottas fourth, Perez fifth, Ocon sixth, Grosjean seventh, Magnussen eighth, Gasly ninth, and Marcus Ericsson in 10th. But thank you guys for this race watch along. Sorry that the race wasn't really any good, but there's nothing we can do about that. It's just the luck of the draw. Hopefully Monza will be better. But don't forget, guys, in 45 minutes time, I will be back for the race reaction for the Belgian Grand Prix. We'll go through all the teams, the results, anything you want to talk about, we'll go through at 4:30 UK time. Don't forget to subscribe either on the bottom right of the screen. Click subscribe there. Either click on my channel name or go to the description to click on a link to my channel. Also, follow me on Twitter. There's a link to that down there in the description as well if you want to keep up to date with when I am uploading. If you want to join our Discord server, a link to that is also in the description. We've got such a wonderful community with just over 50 people in that server right now, and it is ever growing, especially after this weekend. Like this video, comment down below if you're watching this after this is gone live, and I will see all of you in about 45 minutes for the race reaction. So don't go anywhere, I will be back very soon.